Imagine this. A man walks into a dealership on a Saturday morning. He's 36 years old. He just received the biggest raise of his life. For years, he promised himself that when he finally made it, he'd buy the truck he'd always dreamed about. Today is that day. He walks around it slowly, runs his hand across the paint, sits in the driver's seat. The smell of a brand new interior fills the cabin. For a moment, he feels like a different person. More successful, more respected, more confident. 3 hours later, he signs the paperwork. The salesman shakes his hand. His friends congratulate him. His neighbors notice. His social media fills with comments saying, "You deserve it." Everything feels perfect. Until 30 days later, the first payment arrives, then another, then another. 7 years later, he realizes something that nobody warned him about. He didn't buy a truck. He bought a version of himself. And that version turned out to be incredibly expensive. Because the most dangerous financial decisions aren't made with calculators. They're made with emotions. Every year, millions of intelligent people make purchases they already know they can't comfortably afford. Not because they're bad with money. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they're chasing something much harder to measure than wealth. They're chasing identity. And once you understand how that works, you'll never look at expensive purchases the same way again. Human beings have always used objects to communicate something. Thousands of years ago, it was jewelry, weapons, land, clothing. Today, it's cars, phones, watches, homes. The objects have changed. The psychology hasn't. Long before someone asks, "Can I afford this?" their brain has already asked a much more powerful question. What will this say about me? That's the question companies spend billions of dollars trying to answer. Watch almost any luxury car commercial. Do they spend 30 seconds explaining the engine, the fuel economy, the safety rating? Almost never. Instead, they show mountain roads, luxury hotels, successful professionals, beautiful families, sunsets, freedom, confidence. Because they understand something most people don't. They're not selling transportation. They're selling transformation. The message is subtle. Buy this, and you'll become this. It sounds ridiculous when we say it out loud. Yet almost every advertisement follows exactly the same formula. Luxury watches don't sell time. They sell achievement. Designer clothing doesn't sell fabric. It sells belonging. Sports cars don't sell speed. They sell status. And trucks? They rarely sell utility anymore. They sell an image, strength, reliability, adventure, independence. The strange part is that many buyers don't actually need those capabilities. Research consistently shows that a large percentage of pickup owners rarely tow heavy loads or use the truck bed for demanding work. For many, the vehicle functions much like any other daily commuter. That's because the purchase was never only about utility, it was about identity. And identity is powerful. Psychologists have discovered that people naturally use possessions to express who they are or who they hope to become. We don't just buy products, we buy stories. A promotion arrives. Suddenly, the old car feels too ordinary. A friend buys a new SUV. Your perfectly reliable sedan suddenly feels outdated. Someone posts vacation photos beside a luxury vehicle. Without realizing it, your definition of normal quietly changes. This is called social comparison. Your brain isn't asking whether your current life is good. It's asking whether your current life is good enough compared to everyone else. That's a dangerous game, because comparison has no finish line. There will always be someone driving something newer, living somewhere bigger, earning more, owning more. If your definition of success depends on keeping up, you'll spend your entire life running. The most successful marketing campaigns understand this perfectly. They don't create new desires. They amplify existing insecurities. They whisper, "You've worked hard. You deserve this. Everyone else is upgrading. Why are you still driving that?" The product becomes the solution to a problem that barely existed 5 minutes earlier. And before you know it, you're sitting in a dealership, convincing yourself that a monthly payment somehow feels smaller than a total price. That's another psychological trick. Dealerships almost never begin with, "Can you afford a $70,000 truck?" Instead, they ask, "What monthly payment feels comfortable?" Those two questions sound similar. They're completely different. One makes you think about ownership, the other makes you think about affordability. It's an incredibly effective shift because our brains naturally underestimate long-term costs when they're divided into smaller monthly amounts. $700 doesn't feel like $70,000, even though it eventually becomes much more. And once you've signed the paperwork, something interesting happens. The excitement peaks. For a week, maybe two. Every drive feels special. People notice. Friends compliment you. You glance back at the truck every time you park it. Then, life returns to normal. The truck becomes just the truck. The monthly payment, however, never becomes invisible. It quietly arrives every month, like a subscription to an identity you no longer think about. That's where the real cost begins. Here's the question almost nobody asks. If the truck stopped making you feel successful after 2 weeks, what exactly did you pay for? Behavioral economists have a name for this phenomenon. It's called hedonic adaptation. In simple terms, human beings are incredibly good at getting used to better things. The first day you own a luxury vehicle, it feels extraordinary. A month later, it feels normal. A year later, you barely notice it. Your brain quietly resets its expectations. What once felt like luxury becomes your new baseline. Then something dangerous happens. You start looking for the next upgrade. A newer model, a larger house, a better neighborhood, a luxury vacation, another symbol that promises to recreate the excitement you felt the first time. But it never lasts. Not because the products are bad, because that's how the human brain works. We adapt, and companies have learned to build entire business models around that reality. They don't need you to stay satisfied, they need you to stay chasing. Every few years, a redesigned model appears. A larger screen, a different grille, new technology, a limited edition. Not because your current vehicle suddenly stopped working, because your identity needs another upgrade. And that's where millions of people quietly fall into a trap. They mistake changing their possessions for changing their lives. But ownership and identity are two very different things. Owning an expensive watch doesn't make someone disciplined. Driving a luxury SUV doesn't make someone successful. Living in a large house doesn't automatically create happiness. Those things can reflect success, but they cannot create it. Real success is usually built long before anyone notices it. Behind almost every financially secure person are years of decisions that nobody applauded. They drove reliable cars while friends upgraded. They invested money when everyone else was spending it. They ignored trends. They delayed gratification. They accepted looking ordinary while quietly building an extraordinary future. Those decisions aren't exciting. They're almost invisible. But over 20 or 30 years, invisible decisions create visible freedom. Imagine two people graduating from college together. Both earn similar salaries. Both receive promotions. Both work equally hard. The first decides that every raise is permission to upgrade. A better apartment, a luxury SUV, designer furniture, a premium lifestyle. The second makes one small decision. Every raise gets split. Part improves today's life. The other part quietly buys tomorrow's freedom. Neither decision feels dramatic. Not in the first year, not even in the fifth. But by year 15, their lives barely resemble each other. One has impressive possessions. The other has impressive options. One still depends entirely on the next paycheck. The other has investments producing income while they sleep. One worries about losing their job. The other has the freedom to walk away. From the outside, the first person often looks wealthier. On the inside, the second person usually is. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions about wealth. Most people assume wealth is something you can see. But genuine wealth is surprisingly invisible. Nobody notices an emergency fund. Nobody compliments your index fund. Nobody admires your paid-off mortgage. Nobody stops you in a parking lot because your retirement account is fully funded. Real wealth doesn't attract attention. It creates peace. And peace rarely goes viral. That's why social media has distorted our understanding of success. We're constantly shown lifestyles, rarely balance sheets. We see vacations, not credit card statements. We see sports cars, not 7-year loans. We see dream homes, not sleepless nights wondering how to afford them. Our brains compare our behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel. It's an unfair comparison, and yet we do it every day. This creates a dangerous illusion that everyone else is moving ahead faster than we are. The truth is, many of those lifestyles are financed, not funded. There's an enormous difference. A financed lifestyle demands constant income. A funded lifestyle creates freedom. One keeps asking you for money. The other quietly starts giving money back. That's why financially successful people eventually stop asking, "Can I afford this?" Instead, they ask, "What is this going to cost me 5 years from now?" Notice how different those questions are. The first focuses on today. The second focuses on tomorrow. That single habit changes almost every financial decision you'll ever make. Because every purchase has two prices. The first is printed on the price tag. The second is the life you give up to own it. A 7-year loan isn't just 7 years of payments. It's 7 years of reduced flexibility. 7 years of delayed investing. 7 years of saying not yet to opportunities that require financial freedom. And perhaps the greatest irony of all, the people trying hardest to appear successful often delay the very success they're trying to display. This is why the wealthiest people often surprise everyone. Not because they own more, but because they seem to need less. The older many financially successful people become, the simpler their lives often look. Not because they stopped enjoying nice things, because they finally understand the difference between consumption and freedom. A brand new truck can impress your neighbors. An investment portfolio can quietly buy back your time. One changes how people see you. The other changes how you experience your life. And if you had to choose between those two, the answer becomes obvious. There's a famous quote often attributed to Morgan Housel. "The highest form of wealth is waking up every morning and being able to do what you want." Think about that for a second. Notice what isn't in that sentence. No mention of sports cars. No mention of luxury watches. No mention of mansions. Because those things were never the destination. Freedom was. That's why opportunity cost is one of the most misunderstood ideas in personal finance. Most people think opportunity cost means giving something up. It doesn't. It means choosing one future over another. Imagine two versions of yourself standing in front of you. One drives the brand new truck today. The other drives a reliable used car and quietly invests the difference. At first, the first version looks happier. People compliment the truck. Friends ask for rides. Family members admire the purchase. The second version receives almost no attention. Nobody congratulates someone for contributing to an index fund. Nobody takes pictures beside an emergency fund. Nobody posts about paying off debt. For years, the first version appears to be winning. Until one day, everything changes. The truck has depreciated. The excitement has disappeared. Another newer model has taken its place. Meanwhile, the investments have quietly compounded. The emergency fund has removed financial fear. The mortgage balance has shrunk. Choices have expanded. The applause disappeared years ago, but freedom remained. And that's the strange thing about wealth. Its greatest rewards are almost invisible. Nobody sees the stress you no longer carry. Nobody notices the nights you sleep peacefully because an unexpected bill no longer feels like a disaster. Nobody sees the confidence that comes from freedom. Those victories don't make headlines, but they change lives. The financial industry spends billions convincing people that success should look impressive. Real wealth often looks ordinary. It looks like driving the same reliable car for another 5 years. It looks like saying no when everyone else is saying yes. It looks like ignoring trends that everyone insists are essential. It looks like making decisions your future self will quietly thank you for. That's powerful. Because every major financial decision eventually asks the same question. Do you want to impress people today or thank yourself tomorrow? Very few people can do both. Eventually, you have to choose. And the people who become financially free usually make that choice long before anyone notices. One of the most fascinating patterns among self-made millionaires isn't that they earn extraordinary incomes. It's that they become remarkably resistant to lifestyle inflation. Every raise doesn't become another excuse to spend. It becomes another opportunity to invest. Every bonus doesn't become another luxury purchase. It's a foundation.